This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN to get a $25 deposit bonus. Reminder to go to the merch store. SGPN is running a 20% off sale. Go grab some Golf Gambling Podcast merch. Definitely helps us out a ton. All right, Charles Schwab Challenge. Always a tough name for me to say. It's the CH and then the SCHW. Just doesn't really mesh well with my mouth. But we're here. We're here 1 week after the PGA Championship and ready to hop back in to some more golf DFS golf betting PGA Tour. We got two names. Actually, we'll just talk about Scotty and then we'll go from we'll do the 9K range, including Tommy. So to play Scotty or to not play Scotty, I'm going to say yes, you play Scotty this week. What is his floor? I would say T4. Scotty's here because he wants to win another Texas event, and this is a golf course that fits his game objectively perfect. It's Scotty's played so well on shorter positional tracks. Not that this is a shorter positional track, but this is a golf course where you have to be precise off the tee and spike on approach with the mid irons, and that's exactly what Scotty Scheffler does best. And he's got a great track record here, done everything but win this event. So it's a matter of time before he wins this event, and I think this is definitely the year where that happens, going for three straight. So I do think off the top you play Scotty Scheffler and go from there. I think you're left with around $7,200 left to build. Let me confirm that. 72. Yeah, just around 72. And there's a lot of lower price guys that will make this cut, and I will go down and try to give you a few names. But if we're skipping out on Scotty, we want to say, hell no, I'm not going to Scotty. Who are you starting your lineup with from Keith Mitchell up to Tommy Fleetwood? I think some of the safer answers, one of the better answers is $9,500 Maverick McNeely. For whatever reason, Maverick has hit his irons well. And for a guy who's notoriously a bad iron player, he's hit his irons really well in the state of Texas in his career. So you combine that with him having a great season in 2025, him nearly winning a few times and having a great ball striking year. He should be really confident going into this week. I don't think his floor or ceiling is that much different than Fleetwood, Berger, Spieth's. And then Hideki, I think, is a high-risk, high-reward player. Because personally, I'm out on Hideki. I saw some really poor, rough things from him at PGA, at Quail Hollow when I was out there last week, and he ended up missing the cut. But we know what his ceiling is. So I think Maverick's a safe play, and I think Hideki is a high-risk, high-reward play. Towards the bottom of this 9K range, I would go with Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell would be my guy down here. I'd fade this Aaron Rye chalk. Aaron Rye is going to be in a ton of lineups. He makes a ton of sense, but I would fade him for sure and go with Keith. I like Keith to bounce back. He's one of the few guys, and I'll note this in the pod as I go, who will take those aggressive lines off the tee and really try to give himself a ton of wedges. And then if he's having a good driving week, he's going to hit a ton of greens and just give himself more opportunities in the field. So Keith towards the bottom, Maverick and Hideki in the middle. And then if you really want to start with Jordan, no one's ever going to fault you for playing Jordan at Colonial. Okay, 8K range. Siwoo Kim down to Akshay Bhatia and Harry Hall. I'll start at the bottom. I think I'm out on Akshay and Harry. Both are going to be a little bit popular. Harry more than Akshay. Harry's got a runner-up in this event in his career. I believe he lost in that playoff to Grillo, something like that. But that event, that Harry Hall week, was all fueled by the putter. Outside of that, he's never hit the ball well here, so I'm fading him. Akshay's been hitting it poorly, but it's a good price for him. I'll say that. I don't hate the Akshay play as much as I hate the Hall play, but I really like Lucas Lever. $8,100 Lucas Lever. I talked about him on the pod last night with Dom, a guy who's hitting his irons well, a guy who's played this event 10 trillion times, and a guy who's putt well on this golf course before. So I do like Lucas Lever towards the bottom. Towards the middle of this 8K range, I don't think you can go wrong with either Brian Harman or JJ Spawn. Two of these guys have won at TPC at TPC San Antonio. They've won that event. So strokes gained Texas, strokes gained hit fairways, and spike with the middle irons. They play a very, very, very similar game, and they're going to be a very similar price and ownership. So I do like these two guys towards the middle, and then towards the top of this 8K range. I don't think it's the best range, but I would go for a lower owned Davis Thompson. Davis Thompson is going to be no more than 11.5%, and his ceiling is a top 10 player in the world. The build, the stature, the style of golf he plays is modern, and it's going to work. If you're playing Davis Thompson blindly the next few years, it's going to pay off for you more times than it won't. So I really like him as a lower owned pivot up towards the top of this 8K range. And so I'm saying I hate this bottom of the 8K range. I think Mackenzie Hughes is a great pivot at the top of the 7K range. The dude has finished T3 or better in 2 of his last 4 starts. And if we're getting some chalk from Hall, Batia, and Gerard and Cauley, Hughes is one of the best pivots on the board, in my opinion. I do not think he's going to be owned in any regard. I think everyone's going to go to these other 4 names around him, and we know Mac Hughes is not afraid to win. We know Mac Hughes is not afraid to pop, get hot in any of the categories, probably the putter, which will work here. Not a long track. I think it's a great spot for Mac Hughes, and that leading into Gerard and Cauley. I don't hate them, but I just like that pivot in the DFS game far more than I like these two guys. Towards the middle of the 7K range, I think Thorbjorn Olesen is a great DFS play, one of the best DFS plays on the board. He gives you a very similar skill set to Tommy Fleetwood, and he's a fraction of the price. Thorbjorn is a very solid, stern ball striker, has the backdoor equity, and he finished top 4 at TPC San Antonio as well. Sam Stevens drives it straight, and you need that here. I think that could fare well. I do worry about the approach play a little. I probably prefer to go to a guy like Kevin Yu, who has the better ball striking ceiling and a more safe ball striking ceiling. Far worse putter, though. Towards the bottom of this 7K range, I would not mind Eric Cole. Eric Cole has gained on approach in now 7 straight starts, I believe, which is tied for the longest career run in his career. And that came with multiple top 4 finishes. So Eric Cole's hitting it well. The stars are aligning for Cole. Toward the bottom of the 7K range, I would avoid the Rio Hisatsune chalk and go with a guy like Cam Davis. Matt McCarty is extremely underpriced, or Austin Eckroat. All those guys have shown good signs. Matt McCarty was 3rd or 4th to last group at the freaking Masters. Cam Davis is a PGA Tour winner who popped last week, and when he gets hot, he gets going. And then Austin Eckroat gained on approach in his last 4 starts for the first time all year, and I saw really good things from Eckroat at Quail Hollow. So I do like these guys at the bottom of this 7K range. Nico Echeverria, always love him, always makes sense, but I hate a chalky 7K player. I wouldn't mind Chris Gotterup, like Keith Mitchell, one of the few guys who's going to try to send it off the tee and give himself a ton of wedges. Before we get in the 6K range, and then we'll build a lineup, got to talk to you quickly about Edge Boost. First ever bank account built for bettors. No usage fees, no minimums, earn cash back rewards. 100% approval for all betting deposits. So edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Deposit 25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. Edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Underdog Pick'em. Underdog is going long for the NBA playoffs with their extender bonus. Hop in game 1, and the longer the series goes, the bigger the bonus gets. Promo code GOLF SGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000. That's promo code GOLF SGPN at UnderdogFantasy.com. All right, 6K range. Got a few plays here for you in this range. So top of the 6K range, we got Chuck Hoff, Neil Shipp, Sammy Valimaki, Jesper Svensson, Isaiah Salina, Vic Perez. I like what we're getting with Sammy Valimaki. He's a high-end ball striker, a guy who can make a ton of birdies. And if he makes a cut, we know he's probably going to pay off at $6,900 price just because of the amount of birdies he makes. He doesn't have to finish T5, doesn't have to finish T8, and he probably won't. But he's going to make a lot of birdies, a lot of bogeys, but 3-to-1 ratio in DFS, that's going to work. So I like the birdie-making ability Sammy Valimaki has at $6,900. Towards also the top, the middle of this 6K range, Chandler Phillips, Texas A&M guy, a guy who has done it on some of these comp courses that I like, and he's a guy who is able to spike on approach. That is his game. So I like Chandler Phillips at $6,700. I'm going to go through a few of these guys because you're going to need them. Adam Schenk finally gaining strokes ball striking for the first time in like years consistently after he had multiple children. But this is a golf course he finished runner-up on in his career, so I like Adam Schenk. The middle of the 6K range. Jeremy Paul's got a new caddy on his bag. That's always good vibes. Guys get on a new caddy and you see them win. We saw that with JT. We see that time and time again across the world of golf. And then finally, Ben Coles, $6,200. He's also going to be the first guy I put in this lineup. He's someone who absolutely stripes the driver in terms of hitting fairways, and that's something you're going to need this week. You're going to have to hit fairways. You're going to have to be in position to position your iron. So Ben Coles will be the first guy in this lineup that we're going to go, and we're also going to go all the way up to Scotty Scheffler. So that leaves us with what, 7-6, 7-5, 7-5 left to build. So I think we get Scotty, we get Ben Coles, then we get one more notable name. Then from there we have to dumpster dive and find it. So a notable name that I talked about that I like is going to be Lucas Glover. Lucas Glover, 81, high ball striking ceiling, has played well here before, and makes sense. We're left with 73 for 3 spots. Let's go around that 73 and then build from there. I think I mentioned a few guys here. I'm going to go with Matt McCarty. We know what his ceiling is. I mean, honestly, we go with these 3 guys that we like at the 7K range, and then we're dialed. McCarty, Davis, and Eckroat. That leaves us a perfect. All right, I thought it was a perfect 50,000 spent. 49.5 spent. Ben Cole, Scotty Scheffler, Lucas Glover, Matt McCarty, Cam Davis, Austin Eckroat. I think it's a smooth 6-6. Cash your lineup, Scotty Scheffler wins, and you win $1 million. So that wraps up the DFS show. Hope you enjoyed. Any questions, you know where to find me. Catch you next week for whatever event it is, but we'll be there for it. Peace out.